Good evening, MMOA community. My name is Anusha Raja, and I'm Doctor of Physical Therapy and TA for the Modern Management of the Older Adult Division of the Institute of Clinical Excellence. Today, we're going to talk about progressive overload. Progressive overload is a training method that gradually increases the difficulty of workouts to improve strength and endurance. There are many ways to manipulate load as you progress a patient through a program. So it's really important to utilize these just to make sure that we're making sure that our patients are getting stronger and excelling and really maintaining the best that they can. So the first principle that you're going to look at is increasing weight. This is simply add more weight to the exercise you're doing. For example, if you're bench pressing 50 pounds, you can try 55 pounds the next week. NASM recommends increasing by no more than 10% each week, though, to make sure that you're not getting injured. One caveat to this could be if you're going with the principle of intentional underdosage. Dustin Jones just did a podcast on this. So if you're not sure what intentional underdosage is, go back to last week and check that out. But if you're starting off with intentional underdosage, you might end up doing a little bit more than that 10%. But you're going to really pay attention to the patient, how they're doing, how they're responding to those treatments, and then go from there. Another principle you might look at is just increasing the repetitions. For example, once Betty has hit 10 repetitions with good form, you may bump her up to 12 repetitions before you increase the amount of weight you're actually doing with them. And that's not exclusive. It doesn't mean you can only do weight first or you can only do repetitions first. You're going to play with all these factors just to see what's going to suit your patient best to get them stronger. Another variable you might look at is time. And time can be varied, or how we vary this might be different. Sometimes you might decrease the rest periods between sets of exercises, or you might increase the tempo of these exercises. So by decreasing rest periods, you increase the intensity of the exercises. But by slowing down the exercise itself, you make it more difficult. So typically, when I'm slowing down an exercise in itself, I'm looking to slow down through that eccentric phase, so the lowering phase essentially. And that way, you're looking to build greater strength with that exercise. Another thing you might look at is increasing range of motion. For instance, if Betty started with deadlifts on a box, you may change the height of the box, so lowering the box. Or you might move them if they weren't on a box and they're doing it from the ground. You might actually elevate the floor that they're standing on and have them lower all the way down to the ground. So something like a deficit instead. And that way they're working through their muscles through a greater range of motion, allowing them to get stronger. Something I look at often with this is doing sit to stands or squats. So sometimes we have patients that can't get up off the low couch or just a standard chair. So I might elevate their chair surface by adding a cushion. And then as they progress with that, I will slowly take that away or just lower the surface itself. Lastly, something you might look at is by combining exercises. You can combine exercise to challenge a patient's cardiorespiratory system. For instance, you do deadlifts and step ups back to back before taking a rest break. I really love implementing this as my patients gain more tolerance, especially when you're looking at a more deconditioned older adult. Just by simply putting more exercise together, they are a little bit more distracted from the fact they don't just feel like you're putting them through like 20 repetitions of an exercise, but you're still loading them for a greater amount of time and increasing their overall activity tolerance by doing that. And then you take your break, get them back to their exercises after that. So that is looking at the how. As for the when, it's really important to pay attention to your patient or your client. So, like, I'll typically look at the exercises I did with the patient their previous session or two. And then from there, I'll look at, okay, do we need to look at your form? Is it really good? If that's looking really good, it's like, okay, how did they respond to that treatment? Did they come back and tell you they were sore? They couldn't get up off the toilet. They couldn't get up off their couch because they were so sore. They couldn't get through their day to day. If none of that is relevant and they're doing great, then yeah, increase increase that exercise intensity for them. So you're going to look back at manipulating those factors. But it really is important to make sure that they are doing these exercises with good form and that they are responding well to those treatments first so that you're not worrying about injury or decreasing their overall ability to function through the day. But again, those principles that you're going to look at to manipulate are increasing the weight, increasing the repetitions, decreasing the rest periods, changing the tempo, increasing range of motion, or by combining exercises to increase intensity. So, if you haven't heard of progressive overload, really great principle either to apply to yourself or your patients. Again, if you weren't sure what intentional underdosage is, Dustin Jones had that podcast last week on it. Check that out. It's a great resource. And then, if you want to learn more about this in general, we would love to have you in MMOA level 1 or level 2, or come to our MMOA live class. MMOA level 1 just underwent a revamp. So, if you haven't taken that yet, jump in our January cohort starting January 13th. If you have taken it, you can access all the new material from revamps. Just go onto the iSphysio app, log in to the MMOA section, and check out that new content. MMOA level 2 starts on January 7th if you have already taken level 1. So join us. We'd love to have you. And then MMOA Live, we've taken a break for the holidays, but we start back up January 18th in Hendersonville, Tennessee. We would love to have you there. We will also be in Athol, Idaho, January 25th to 26th. And if neither of those work for you, we'll be all over the US and Canada for the rest of the year. So just find a location that works best for you and join us. Course prices do increase January 1st. So lock in the 2024 prices if you can before tomorrow and before you ring in the new year. But that's it for tonight. I hope you have a great New Year's Eve. Happy New Year and stay safe. Bye.